Welcome to part 2 of my project showcase series. If you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. I think I know how to put a link in the corner. I don't know. Maybe by now I'll have it figured out, but enjoy. This is my super lucky marketplace find. I had to drive through a snowstorm in order to acquire this, but it was totally worth it. It's actually the same laser engraver that my high school had, so I was familiar with how to use it and how much I loved it. So when I saw it on Marketplace, I just had to have it. Best of all, it was broken when I bought it, so I got it for a ridiculous deal. It would power on, but then when you'd go to run it, the laser wouldn't fire, so I thought that I was going to have to buy a new laser tube for it, or this doesn't use a laser tube, it has an RF laser module, so you have to get it refreshed with new gases for it to work. So I thought I was gonna have to spend $1,000 on top of what I paid for this. Turned out it has reed switches, so magnetic, almost like limit switches. So when you close the top, it knows it's shut. If you open it, they untrip and the laser shuts off. So after I had this all taken apart, I couldn't get it to work, and then I remembered that fact, and so I just randomly thought maybe I'll throw a magnet on each of these in the lid just to see if it'll work. As soon as I did that, the laser started working. So I haven't done a whole lot with this. Originally this laser came with this little tube that kind of sat right around here that would blow air at the workpiece that you're cutting at, and then all of this would be just free open airspace. So what it really was doing was making sure it kind of blew the smoke away from accumulating up and onto the lens. If you accumulate too much debris on the lens, it can actually start burning and reduces your laser power. And I'd seen a design where somebody made like a air jet nozzle. I think newer lasers kind of use that concept where you have a open kind of tube area and you inject air in, and then that keeps smoke from coming back up, but then it also helps blow your cut debris through your work so that you can, or clear from your work so that you can cut deeper or more efficiently. So I tried to design like a little laminar flow type insert for this barrel, and then I have a inner, I don't think these will go together. Oh, it does. Okay. I have an inner moving part because this has a autofocus feature. So there's a little bit on the back that it probes off on the work. So I wanted to keep this as close to the work as possible so that I could maintain my air pressure nozzle to blow debris. So I made it so that it could slide up and down with the autofocus, and then I just would put a O-ring in this groove here, and then connect my air supply into the side there. So that's what I have it right now, is this little drop down plungy part, and then when you pressurize this with air, it helps push the plunger down and seal against the O-ring that's in there. I used to have a brass nozzle from a 3D printer that I drilled out to a larger diameter. I just felt that it wasn't actually necessary from the scorching that you can see in there. Sometimes this would get stuck cocked, and then your laser would start trying to burn the resin, and then the laser would also hit the metal and start heating the metal up super hot. But luckily I have a friend who has a resin printer, so when I left college and lost access to a resin printer, he was kind enough to print me off this new one when I was burning the old concept. So I removed the 3D printer brass nozzle and just went to a completely fully resin printed hole, which seems to work perfectly fine. This, not the prettiest thing, but it's a 2000, let me check that, 2500 watt inverter. So this is my portable outlet. I built it kind of just for fun. I didn't exactly have a real use for it. Sorry, this is really heavy, so I'll try to keep it in frame. I'm using the same SPM 08 HP batteries that I had used in my Go Board battery. This one is in a 4S4P configuration, so 800 amp continuous and 1600 amp peak amperage out of these batteries into the inverter. I ran a microwave for a couple seconds off of this just to see if it would do it. It did. And then I think the most fun that I had with this is people sneak food into movie theaters. So my friends and I, we popped our own popcorn in a movie theater. So brought the portable outlet and popcorn seeds and one of the spinning popcorn makers, and had our seasoning salts. So when the trailers were going, we had it below our seats and popped a full bowl of popcorn, and it was actually so loud in there that you could barely hear any of the kernels popping. I think the most that you could see is maybe steam coming up from our seats from where we were sitting. But yeah, that was probably the most trouble that we got in with this. This right here is another high school project. My goal before I graduated was to use all the different machines that we had in the shop. So this was the project that I came up with for the CNC router that we had in our wood shop. I had an old cheap stereo system that I reused some speakers from that, bought some tweeters, found a Bluetooth amplifier on eBay, and came up with this speaker box design. Then on top I laser engraved a little 1/4 inch sheet of plywood to have some vents for the amplifier, and then I had a 3D printed kind of base chassis and then a laser cut acrylic front for it. Then these are some bolts that I chopped off with a Dremel to pass through the buttons so I can change the different mode. A little sticky. Play, pause, volume, next song, back, and change the input on the device. On the sides, I have chambers on the left and right. I had intended to 3D print an insert that was one of those like labyrinth bass speakers where it just kind of zigzags back and forth, and then I'd have a port in the front. I never actually did that, so this is kind of acting as a sealed section of the speaker. The thought was to get maybe a little bit more bass out of it, but I had laser engraved a side piece of acrylic with kind of a circuit board pattern, and then I ran, I think, LEDs along the bottom that shoot up and light up the side. So if I turn off the light, I do quite a bit of soldering, so I tried to design my own somewhat affordable helping hands for soldering. So I know they sell kind of your generic alligator clip ones. They're actually kind of like this, where, yeah, try to match up your wires, but I feel like I never really liked these because they, the teeth on them, when you heat up your solder, the insulation gets soft and this leaves bite marks in your wires. So I never really liked those. These came with heat shrink on them, which is better than the electrical tape that I was trying to use on those. But I found these little kind of flexible arms, and I thought that they'd be convenient for trying to align wires more easily than trying to screw down those other alligator clips. They're alright. I put a magnet in the bottom of this 3D printed base so that you find a piece of steel and then you can kind of align what you need. This other one I thought was going to be a good idea, where I found a pack of these tweezers that self-close, and then the idea was to drill a hole through them and then mount them, but these are hardened, so I made it that far before I realized these are hardened and I wouldn't be able to drill through them. So I instead created a little kind of retention 3D print that these can slide in and out of, and then magnet again so that you can grab your wire, screwdriver, and hold it together, do your solder joint, and undo them. I made a version where you can come in and add additional hands if you need. This is not a Nerf gun. The idea was to make it look as close to a Nerf gun as possible. So minus the notch here in your dart clip. The idea was to have it, wrong way, push not pull, have it function just like a normal Nerf gun would, but instead this shoots bottle rockets. So I've got a lighter in the bottom here of the handle, and this one came with a button for spinning up wheels and then your trigger button. So this is gas and then light, and I actually was able to incorporate the locking system so that you only can pull the trigger when you have the gas pulled. And I'll see if I can show you. So there, I have a hole cut in the tube so that when you feed your bottle rockets in there, it lights the wicks, and then you can fire. But yeah, this is my little incognito fireworks gun, so you can shoot bottle rockets at people when they're expecting a foam dart instead. Hopefully the lighting's alright over here. In the corner, just some miscellaneous storage that I built more from 80/20. I found these, used to be Sam's Club bins. I like these because they're a little bit taller than like Walmart. Also, I've seen Walmart bins on Marketplace, but these actually have this feature where you can stack them by flipping this little tab over, and then they stack on each other. But yeah, I just like that they're a little bit deeper than other bins, so I use them for filament storage mainly and other miscellaneous parts. So I have this frame that I built that has 4 corner supports and then like a inner eye, so your bin can ride on here. The upper eye can kind of cantilever the bin so that it doesn't just dump out. Of course, top one doesn't have that, but just my handy little bin storage system for some of my bulkier items that don't fit in the little organizer Stanley bins. This is the claw. Some of you might have seen it in my first video. It's a Milwaukee cable cutter head, and then I designed a motor system to run it on my own. I think it's normally hydraulic. Then I devised like a motor and lead screw systems.
We interrupt this program to bring you
Cooking with Evan, and boy do I have a treat for you. Let's go ahead and get started. First things first, grab a battery and put it in your claw. Now we've got power. We'll start out with a bed of spinach in the bottom of our bowl. Now that we've got our lettuce in here, I think we should put some carrots on it. I know what you're thinking. That's stupid. Just use your hand, right? Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know what I was thinking. Now that we've got our carrots, I think we should sprinkle some cheese on the top. A little bit, less is more, so I think that's about good. Then lastly, we of course, I feel like need to top it off with some dressing to finish it off, so let's do that next. There we go. Of course, the last step is to enjoy the salad. Let's grab our fork. Getting this even blending of the ingredients. There we go. Yeah, good salad. Well, guess I don't know my own strength. Gotta be careful with this. Well, that'll conclude part 2 of my 3-part series on the project showcase. So let me know which one was your favorite project and if you want me to go more in depth on any of them. Otherwise, stay tuned for part 3. Thanks for watching.